Urbandale school bus drivers passed a strike authorization after some union members are demanding higher wages and better retirement benefits. Local 5's Emma Sterner joins us in studio to explain why only a portion of those drivers are in favor of the strike. Emma?
Larissa, this vote to authorize a strike comes as the union, called Teamsters Local 90, has not been able to reach an agreement with Durham School Services, the company that provides transportation to Urbandale schools and employs these workers. They have been without a contract since September 12th.
Durham is forcing us into an outcome of choosing between our students and putting food on the table for our kids at home.
Stewardess and bus driver Rachel River went before the Urbandale School Board on September 22nd, asking them to reach out to Durham, claiming several drivers are in poverty.
Most of our employees are working multiple jobs and still living paycheck to paycheck. Many of us are under the federal poverty level.
River told the board that a strike authorization was passed 4-2. But according to another member, that's only just about a third of the drivers.
19 members, 6 members voted. 4 only said yes. What about the rest of us?
Bus driver Jocelyn Castor says that's a result of a short notice, saying she was told 6 hours before the meeting. Some workers are satisfied, while others feel like they can't get by. With this disagreement, driver Lori Sundin says the workplace environment has changed.
Now it's turned into a completely hostile work environment.
Sundin makes it clear she does not want to go on strike.
I don't want to strike. I'm not going to leave my kids out in the cold.
River agrees. She also doesn't want to go on strike, but feels forced to by the company.
Durham is going to force us to a work stoppage if they cannot come to a reasonable agreement.
In a statement, Durham School Services says, in part, quote, "The Teamsters Local 90 have repeatedly rejected our offers, which includes a wage that is higher than the current average in the market and a 401k retirement plan with a funding match from the company." The union will meet with Durham tomorrow and Tuesday to reconsider the offer the company has given to Teamsters Local 90.
We begin with more fallout here in the metro since Des Moines Public School Superintendent Dr. Ian Roberts was detained by ICE agents following a pursuit. Right now, the Des Moines School Board is holding a special session. Within the last 10 minutes, they have unanimously voted to move to a closed session. This is coming just hours after the Iowa Board of Educational Examiners revoked Roberts' license. Well, simultaneously, some Iowans are gathering just outside the federal building on Walnut Avenue. We can confirm the Party for Socialism and Liberation Iowa is one of the organizers of this. Demonstrators are calling on ICE to release Roberts, among other demands. This is a story we will continue to cover throughout the night, but let's start with what we do know right now. Starting on Friday morning, the Iowa Department of Public Safety says it received a mutual aid request from ICE. It was to help locate an individual who fled from a traffic stop and led a pursuit, now known to be Dr. Roberts. ICE claims Roberts had a loaded handgun, $3,000 in cash, and a fixed blade hunting knife. As of now, Roberts is being held in the Woodbury County Jail in Sioux City. Now, the news of Roberts' detainment came with a lot of questions about what led to his arrest and how he was able to serve as an educator. So our Alex Fulton is trying to get answers to those questions that all of us have right now. So Alex, you found out that as of last year, Roberts had a Maryland driver's license.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Stephanie. I got a hold of public records that show Dr. Ian Roberts got a speeding ticket on September 9th, 2023 and on July 6th of 2024 here in central Iowa. That second ticket issued just 2 months after his order of removal. The citations list Roberts as having a Maryland driver's license at the time with a different Maryland address in 2023 and 2024. Remember, Roberts was appointed DMPS superintendent in July of 2023. I searched the Maryland Board of Elections website and found that he was registered to vote in 2017. You must be a U.S. citizen in order to vote, of course.
Okay, well, Des Moines isn't his first career stop, so where else has he worked? And did he ever run into any issues at his previous school districts?
Well, Stephanie, his LinkedIn shows he's worked for school districts in New York, Maryland, Missouri, California, and Pennsylvania. He came to DMPS from the Mill Creek Township School District in Erie, Pennsylvania, a position he held for 3 years. Minutes from the July 21st, 2020 meeting show that Roberts ran into issues getting his commission qualification letter from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. This allows a school administrator to serve while they work to get their more permanent state teaching license. Here's a direct quote on what the Mill Creek Township School Board says was causing the delays. Quote, "As far as we can tell, the only response we got was that Dr. Roberts lacked the educational certificate from his educational facilities that he obtained his doctorate. Those facilities need to send the certified record to the Pennsylvania Department of Education."
And ICE claims Roberts has a weapons charge from 2020. So what do we know about that?
Well, I searched the Pennsylvania Judicial System web portal and could not find any gun charges for Roberts from 2020. Court records do show he was charged with unlawful presence of a loaded firearm in a vehicle on November 28, 2021. In a statement made on the Mill Creek Township School District Facebook page, Roberts claimed the charge stems from an incident on the Pennsylvania State Game Lands. He said he was stopped by a state game warden while he was going from the woods to his vehicle after a day of hunting. Roberts said he put his hunting rifle in the back of his parked vehicle with the door open so the game warden could clearly see it. He stated, "I pled guilty so that I could avoid the unnecessary time away from the Mill Creek Township School District, students and families in Pennsylvania. It is illegal to carry a loaded weapon in a vehicle." We have submitted public record requests for Roberts' contract with DMPS and a copy of his final order of removal. We'll keep you posted as we learn more as we continue to follow this story.
And we would like everyone to know that those documents, when they include information that has to do with immigration, take a long time to get. So
Absolutely.
That is a process we are working on. Alex, thank you for all of that work. We appreciate it. In the wake of Dr. Ian Roberts' detention, questions about immigration law have come up. Local 5's J.D. Snover spoke to a local attorney to answer a few of them.
The recent detainment of Dr. Ian Roberts has caused questions throughout the Des Moines community revolving immigration. That includes right here at Roosevelt High School, where some students tell me they're feeling concerned.
I think it's terrible and our world is messed up.
In the midst of an ongoing investigation into Dr. Ian Roberts' detainment, one student says the reaction to the news is an indicator of where the world is at.
There's racism and hate all around right now, which is terrible.
The situation has brought forth questions on how the case got to this point and where things may go from here.
There's no one simple path that everyone goes through.
Immigration attorney Ann Nafir, who works with the group Iowa Migrant Movement for Justice, says immigration law is complex and varies greatly case by case. In the case of Dr. Roberts, federal law enforcement claims he came to the United States on a student visa in the 90s. Nafir says, generally speaking, most students stay after graduation.
Almost all students get the chance to also then work, at least for a couple of years after they have had their student visa, after they have finished their education, in order to get additional experience.
Federal immigration enforcement also claims Roberts was issued a deportation order in May of 2024, about 16 months ago.
A deportation proceeding generally can actually take a very long time if it's done correctly.
She says that's because there are ways to appeal an initial order, like the Board of Immigration Appeals, and in some cases, in front of a more traditional federal judge.
The fact that someone has a deportation order from an immigration judge does not necessarily mean that the case is over.
Local 5 has not yet independently confirmed that a deportation order was issued or if an appeal happened, but is working to do so. In Des Moines, I'm J.D. Snover, Local 5 News.
I mean, I think it's jarring, right? It is, I mean, we all found out with everybody else from the news.
New reaction tonight from the Des Moines School Board after ICE detained Superintendent Dr. Ian Roberts on Friday. Local 5 was the first station to tell you about the news with an alert on our mobile app. Well, now we're getting a better look at what's next for Roberts and the district after the board held another special meeting tonight. Local 5's Larissa Leone was at that meeting. Larissa, what's the latest?
Well, Stephanie, the Des Moines School Board all agreed to place Roberts on unpaid administrative leave effective immediately. Board Chair Jackie Norris says the Department of Homeland Security notified the board that Dr. Roberts is an unauthorized worker in the country, and the district also received a final order of removal from the U.S. Department of Justice. Norris says the board is giving Dr. Ian Roberts' attorney until Tuesday at noon to provide proof of citizenship. If they are unable to do so, the board says it will begin the process required by Iowa Code to to end Roberts' contract. Norris says the board received appropriate materials for Dr. Roberts' I-9 application and also says the third party in charge of their background checks did not flag any citizenship concerns regarding Roberts.
In hindsight, I think there is nothing we would have done differently because we followed the process. I think and quite honestly, this is the process that many employers use all across the country. And so I think the one thing we will do after this is a kind of an after-action review to identify ways that we might strengthen or even enhance the process.
ICE says Roberts had a loaded handgun, $3,000 in cash, and a fixed hunting blade knife at the time of the detainment found in a school-owned vehicle. We asked the district if an employee possessing weapons on or in school property is grounds for termination, and here's what they said.
We were completely shocked about the guns. And our board policy states that guns are not allowed on district property at district-sanctioned events. And so we were as shocked as everybody else was to learn of that.
But is that grounds for termination? If you find an employee with a weapon in a district vehicle, is that itself grounds for termination?
Yes.
Norris says the district is also condemning any hateful rhetoric directed at staff and students as they work to navigate these difficult times. And a big concern on a lot of people's minds is, of course, the well-being of the students. The district says the most important thing they can do as leaders is to put forth as much love and compassion for these students as possible. And they also tell me they have sent out notifications and information to families to help them think about ways to talk to their students about what's happening. Stephanie.
Pass it right now. All we have to do, get support from the Democrats.
They call it clean, we call it extremely partisan. That is not how you negotiate.
Right now, Congress remains gridlocked. All eyes are on the clock with just hours to go until a government shutdown. Both Democrats and Republicans are pointing fingers at each other. Republicans are holding votes for a temporary funding bill without any concessions to Democrats, trying to force them to publicly vote against it. The key issue for Democrats, health care. They're holding out for Republicans to reverse cuts to Medicaid and keep affordable premiums from rising for roughly 20 million Americans. Well, back here at home, a shutdown could have impacts in multiple areas. Local 5's J.D. Snover took a look into what some of those areas are.
The potential impacts of a government shutdown are widespread. The president of the Iowa Farmers Union says for Iowa farmers, that means less access to government resources that have already been cut. In the middle of harvest season, Aaron Lehman says resources are already stretched thin for Iowa farmers, and a shutdown wouldn't help.
Farmers are very busy this time of year. They don't have time to deal with more delays and more changes right when we're trying to get the crop from the field into our bins for storage.
The looming government shutdown comes as lawmakers in Washington remain divided. One of the key sticking points, whether to extend tax credits tied to the Affordable Care Act.
Whether that's because they are dependent on a Affordable Care Act policy and the subsidies for those Affordable Care Act policies are going away.
And farmers wouldn't be the only ones feeling the pinch. Des Moines resident Lori Hunt has been using the program since she lost her job.
If I didn't have it, my health insurance cost would be more than my mortgage payment.
Democrats are pushing to extend those tax credits, which are set to expire at the end of the year. But Republicans say they want to take up that debate later. Hunt worries that if credits aren't addressed in the current resolution, the conversation may not continue.
I try to have faith that we can get through this and stuff. This isn't the first shutdown and the first budget battle.
On his weekly call with the press, Senator Chuck Grassley pointed fingers at his Democratic colleagues, but also acknowledged the consequences of a shutdown.
Government can't be a service to the people or protect the people when it's shut down. Just common sense.
I'm J.D. Snover, Local 5 News.
We are hearing from Roberts' attorney. He claims Roberts was under the impression that his immigration case had successfully closed. He says he was led to believe that based on a letter he received from his former immigration attorney just 6 months ago. Local 5's Alex Fulton is in studio after attending a press conference with Roberts' lawyer. Alex, what were the major developments that he told you and other reporters?
Well, Stephanie, Dr. Ian Roberts' attorney today confirmed his client was born in Guyana, but stopped short of saying if he is a U.S. citizen or had ever applied to become one. He emphasized that this case is complicated and there's only so much he can share right now as he works to gather more information.
We have not stopped working on this case since Friday at about 3 o'clock.
Des Moines attorney Alfredo Parrish is representing Dr. Ian Roberts, who resigned from his position as DMPS superintendent.
This is a case that's been juggling through the system for a number of years.
On March 27, 2025, Roberts allegedly received an email from his then immigration attorney, Jacqueline Gonzalez, based out of Pasadena, Texas. It had the subject line, "Closure of Immigration Case," and the body stated, quote, "I am pleased to report that your case has reached a successful resolution." This would have been almost a year after Roberts received his final order of removal for May 2024.
When the case was reopened, you'll see that that date was May of 2024. So the question then becomes, what existed before that time? So that's what we're in the process of trying to dig through.
I asked Parrish why he believes ICE agents waited over a year after his final order of removal to detain Roberts.
We don't know. It can go from day to day. As you've seen by watching the news reports, people can leave very quickly, or they could be here for some time.
In Omaha Immigration Court, Parrish and his legal team did file a motion to stay for Roberts, and they plan to file a motion to reopen his case.
This is a very complex case. It's complex, it's difficult, and there are a lot of what I would call a myriad of issues that are involved.
Parrish wouldn't answer if Roberts was authorized to work in the U.S. and when he came to the country. ICE officials claim he entered the U.S. on a student visa in 1999, but records show he graduated from Copan State University in Baltimore in 1998.
There are a lot of inconsistencies in contracting stuff. That's why we're trying to get access to the file so we'll have a better understanding of what that is.
Now, we reached out to the law office of Jacqueline Gonzalez, Roberts' previous immigration attorney. A secretary told us they're not authorized to speak on this case. Parrish, Roberts' current attorney, said there will be another press conference at a later date, but it's unclear when that will be. Stephanie?
Today, parents and students in Central Iowa voiced their frustrations regarding Dr. Roberts' situation and ICE's presence in our state and across the country by participating in school walkouts and protests. Local 5's Larissa Leone has an inside look on those demonstrations. Larissa.
Stephanie, the crowd is lightening up now, but just a little while ago, there were over 100 parents and students protesting against ICE and in favor for Dr. Ian Roberts. But this protest right here was not the only one within the city today.
Hey, no fear! Immigrants are welcome here!
On Tuesday, Central Iowa kids displayed passionate pleas to keep ICE agents out of their schools and to free former DMPS Superintendent Dr. Ian Roberts. Roberts was detained last Friday and has announced he has decided to resign as superintendent of the state's largest district, a decision impacting many of the district's 30,000 students, like senior Gabe Doyle-Sear.
I think people are just scared to talk about it just because, right now, it is just a really scary time, and we don't know how our words are going to be used against us in the future.
Des Moines Public School Board Chair Jackie Norris spoke to the complexity of explaining citizenship to school-aged children.
That is something that we are entrusting our staff, along with the families, to talk with their children about what citizenship means, and also to help people understand that two things can be true. It is possible that you may not be a citizen, but you are still a good human being.
The district says it has sent out notifications and information to families to help them think about ways to talk to students about what has happened. DMPS parent Brittany Rulin said those conversations have been difficult.
When we spoke yesterday about it with all of the kids, they mentioned that there was a lot of attendance, that there's a lot of kids that didn't show up on Monday because their families or them are afraid for what could happen.
Some of Roberts' former students say regardless of his citizenship status, he made a positive, lasting impact on the kids within the district.
He was a good man who dedicated his life to serving the people of not just Des Moines, but any type of school district he worked for. He's a loving individual.
Larissa Leone, Local 5 News.
Well, back here at home, nearly 18,000 federal employees across the state are in limbo. Local 5's J.D. Snover took a look at what the shutdown might mean for them.
Those who study the government say the group that's going to feel the pinch the most during this time of a partial shutdown is the public employee. That includes air traffic controllers and others who work here at the Des Moines International Airport.
So we really don't anticipate any changes
in the near term.
Des Moines Airport Authority CEO Brian Mulcahy says while federal agencies like the FAA and TSA play a critical role at the airport, passengers shouldn't expect major disruptions due to the shutdown.
We just really hope that it gets settled sooner than later, as soon as possible, so that both passengers and the federal employees have more certainty of what's going on.
Federal employees deemed essential, like TSA agents and air traffic controllers, will continue working, but without pay until Congress passes a funding resolution. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Iowa's home to just under 18,000 federal workers. That's enough to cause a ripple effect in the economy if paychecks are missed, says one political science professor.
People might not be able to pay their mortgages, they might not be able to pay their rents, they might have difficulty purchasing enough food for their families, things like that. So that too can reverberate into the local economies.
The extent of the impact depends on how long the shutdown lasts and how many pay periods are affected.
There are going to be some people that may be affected fairly quickly. And again, it depends on when those paychecks come out. If you're paid monthly, it may be a couple of weeks before you feel the effect. But if you are living paycheck to paycheck, you need to be prepared for that. Because again, although we wouldn't expect the shutdown to last a long time, it has lasted up to a month in the past.
In Des Moines, I'm JD Snover, Local 5 News.
Dr. Ian Roberts' resignation isn't the first time a Des Moines public school superintendent has left amid scandal. Roberts was detained by ICE agents last Friday, and the board accepted his resignation on Tuesday. Local 5's Alex Fulton is in studio with what led the other public officials to be put in the spotlight.
Well, Stephanie, the superintendent before Dr. Ian Roberts went against COVID guidelines, and before him came controversy involving sexually explicit emails. Nancy Sebring resigned as Des Moines Public Schools superintendent on May 10, 2012. That was just days before a newspaper report came out that she sent sexually explicit emails on a district-issued laptop and iPad, sometimes during school hours. Over the course of 6 weeks, Sebring and her lover exchanged at least 40 emails using her district email, according to our sister station in Greensboro. It came as Sebring had accepted a position with the Omaha School District, which she quickly resigned from amid the scandal.
It's an unfortunate thing that has happened. There are no best practice models out there to tell you how to do this.
In 2021, the DMPS board voted to not renew Dr. Thomas Ahart's contract, who was Sebring's successor. Days after the board vote, a judge ruled that Ahart violated Iowa law by defying one of Governor Kim Reynolds' COVID rules. He started the 2020-2021 school year completely virtual, which went against Reynolds' requirement that schools offer at least 50% of instruction in person. Ahart went on to resign in 2022 before his contract would have expired in 2023.
The challenges are monumental, and there are a lot of things working directly against our efforts. So I would have spent more time from the beginning through the end, more actively lobbying the community.
Now, Matt Smith is currently serving as the interim superintendent for DMPS. It is currently unclear when the school board will start the process of hiring a more permanent replacement. Stephanie?
Well, it has been a chaotic week for the Des Moines Public School District and its board members, involving significant fallout from parents and even political figures who are criticizing the district's handling of Dr. Roberts' hiring and tenure. Local 5's Larissa Leone has more on some of those concerns. Larissa.
Stephanie, Roberts' case has certainly been a complex issue filled with emotions from students, parents, community members, and even lawmakers. There's been a lot of finger pointing, so we took the time to investigate how many people failed to notice signs of problems regarding Roberts' immigration status. Since federal agencies released proof showing that Dr. Ian Roberts is not authorized to work in the U.S., many are questioning how he was able to secure the position as the superintendent of the state's largest school district. Jackie Norris, chair of DMPS school board, defending the district's hiring process.
In hindsight, I think there is nothing we would have done differently because we followed the process. I think and quite honestly, this is the process that many employers use all across the country.
This week, the U.S. Department of Justice announced that it is investigating the district's employment practices. In addition to federal inquiries, the Des Moines School District is facing backlash from several Republican political leaders in Iowa. Today, Representative Ashley Hinson posted on X saying, in part, the Des Moines School Board hired Roberts knowing he had lied about his resume. This legal immigrant con man with a weapons charge and an active deportation order shouldn't have been anywhere near our kids, much less running the largest school system in the state. Earlier this week, State Auditor Rob Sand released a statement in response to Roberts' detention, saying, I have been alarmed by government figures in both parties being so quick to leap to conclusions or ignore known facts to rile up their bases. This evening, Norris released a statement saying, quote, the Des Moines School Board is also a victim of deception by Dr. Roberts, one on a growing list that includes our students and teachers, our parents and community, our elected officials, and Iowa's Board of Educational Examiners, and others. We reached out to all the school districts where Roberts claims he was previously employed. 2 out of the 5 responded to us. In Pennsylvania, the Mill Creek Township School District confirmed that Roberts served as a superintendent from August 13, 2020 through June 30, 2023. The district stated that Roberts was hired following a vetting and searching process conducted by Ray & Associates, Inc., a national education firm. Mill Creek Township also indicated the district received all required clearances, including an FBI background check, and no disqualifying events were identified. The district noted Roberts completed an I-9 form and provided eligible documentation. The Baltimore Public School District also issued a statement regarding Dr. Roberts' time there, saying, quote, Ian Roberts was employed with Baltimore City Public Schools for a total of 7 years and 10 months between 2001 and June 2010. He served as a teacher for 5 years, resident principal for 1 year, and principal for 2 years. However, the district did not comment on the hiring process used for Roberts. Dr. Roberts was appointed superintendent of DMPS in the spring of 2023. Terry Caldwell-Johnson was the board chair at that time. She has since passed. Out of the 7 board members, only 3 were on the board at the time of Roberts' employment acceptance.
President Donald Trump says starting today, there will be a 100% tariff on certain branded and patented pharmaceuticals. Local 5's Emma Stroner joins us in studio to break down what this really means for those taking prescription drugs.
Well, Stephanie, according to President Donald Trump, the drugs produced by these companies will be exempt from this imposed tariff if they are building a pharmaceutical manufacturing plant in the United States. Now, if you take a look beside me, you'll see a few commonly prescribed brand name drugs and their manufacturers, who both import their active ingredients from Europe into the U.S. Now, this includes drugs for weight loss, diabetes, and arthritis. Now, both Eli Lilly and AbbVie have launched construction plans on new facilities that would produce these active ingredients here in the U.S. But it's unclear whether or not some other companies plan to do the same. Brad Mag is one of the owners of Spring City Pharmacy in Colfax. He says the local pharmacy wouldn't be able to absorb any potentially higher prices.
In a business where most of our margins are negative anyway, we don't have a lot of room to budge with that. And unfortunately, those things get passed on to the patient.
He says the tariff speaks to a larger struggle in healthcare.
This is adding to the stress of the entire industry. Medical care for everybody has always been a concern in the United States, and we have very expensive medical care here, and so it's trying to get that under control while still having quality care is a challenge.
Mag tells Local 5 their patients already face frequent uncertainty, and that the pharmacy suppliers have not yet been able to tell him what future prices might look like.
It's always up in the air on what prices will be for patients tomorrow or next week. Our suppliers aren't able to give us a good understanding yet of what that's going to look like, because often, in the past, some of these tariffs have been implemented and then taken back, within a day or two. We're optimistic that might be the case here.
Now, Pfizer is another popular manufacturer known for Paxlovid and Comirnaty that both treat COVID-19. For the next 3 years, this tariff would not be imposed on their products as they agreed to lower costs of treatment. That was requested by the president. Stephanie?
We begin tonight with major developments surrounding former DMPS superintendent, Dr. Ian Roberts. We are now learning more about where he is, a new federal charge he's facing, and a potential lawsuit from one of Roberts' former school districts. There's also a new call by an Iowa State Senator for the State Board of Education to take over the Des Moines Public School District. We have team coverage here in studio and in Des Moines as this story continues to develop. A criminal complaint against Roberts has been accepted by a magistrate judge in federal court. He's now facing a charge related to the illegal possession of 4 firearms. Local 5's JD Snover is here to break down that new information provided in these documents.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Stephanie. Federal court documents show some consistencies with previous claims made by immigration officials, such as stating Roberts entered the country legally through a student visa in 1999, and that visa then expired in 2004. The same documents say during that period he applied for permanent citizenship but was denied. Over 20 years of immigration battles involving Ian Roberts came to a close last Friday when he was detained by ICE officers. New court documents alleged the officials were dressed in clearly defined ICE uniforms, approached him, and he ran, eventually hiding in a Southside mobile home park. Officers say inside the car, a loaded handgun. Roberts is now facing a charge of being an illegal immigrant in possession of a firearm after federal authorities claim a same-day search of his home led to the seizure of 3 more guns. According to the documents, Roberts had filed for permanent residency multiple more times, including after marrying an American citizen. But that particular attempt was denied because Roberts didn't respond to a request for additional information. The handgun seized at the scene of the detainment, however, was traced back to his wife and registered to her in Arkansas, according to the documents. Roberts was ordered removed by a federal judge in May of 2024. He appealed but was denied because the judge did not find evidence that he did not receive the notice of the removal. According to the complaint, the order of removal was found in a car at his home during the same-day search. Now, the documents also state that the home searched by federal agents was seemingly only occupied by one person and no female clothing was found. As with all criminal charges, Stephanie, the document is an accusation until Roberts is found guilty in court.
Well, state lawmakers are now joining calls for action in response to the Roberts scandal. Today, Republican State Senator Dave Sayers urged the State Board of Education to take over Des Moines Public Schools. Local 5's Alex Fulton is live from the state capitol with reaction from both sides.
Stephanie, it has been almost a week since former DMPS Superintendent Dr. Ian Roberts was detained by ICE agents. The district is now tasked with how to move forward from this, and one state lawmaker is saying the state should step in. Republican State Senator Dave Sayers on Thursday sent this email out calling for the Iowa Board of Education to take over Des Moines Public Schools.
When you hire the wrong administrator, for whatever reason, superintendent, is kind of a problem and makes you think that maybe other things aren't done exactly right.
Sayers believes that more could come out in light of the scandal involving former Superintendent Dr. Ian Roberts. He wants the board to come in and audit the district's hiring practices and verify that all teachers are certified and qualified.
We need to make sure that everything that's going on down there is doing well, and most importantly, that our kids are doing well there, and they're getting the education that we need to give them.
In his release, Sayers stated that state law allows the State Board of Education to take control of a district at risk of losing their accreditation. On the other side of the aisle, Democrat State Senator Herman Kornbach believes the state should stay out of DMPS.
I think that's a very bad idea. The situation in Des Moines is extremely unfortunate, but I think that the Des Moines School District is the one who understands the situation.
He worries that with a takeover, people from other parts of the state could be on the school board instead of those who live in the district.
The members of the school board were the ones who were chosen by the voters, including the parents of the community, and they are the ones who are best positioned to make the changes that need to be made.
The last school district to be taken over by the State Board of Education was the Davenport School District in 2019. That was because of concerns over the treatment of minority students and those with special needs. Senator Sayers told me that his colleagues are working on legislation in light of Roberts' fallout. He said specifically they are working on bills that have to do with E-Verify for next session. Live from the Iowa State Capitol, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Ian Roberts' attorneys and community leaders hosted a town hall tonight to update the public on Roberts' situation. Local 5's Emma Stroner joins us from Corinthian Baptist Church, where that event took place. Emma.
Several people were here at Corinthian Baptist Church tonight to hear from Roberts' attorneys and have their questions answered as new information continues to surface. Now at this town hall, his attorneys say they're switching their focus from Roberts' immigration case to his federal gun charge.
We're going to be looking at that and developing a defense to the elements of that case right now, knowing that we will still have an immigration case to address at some point, and maybe it'll be at the same time, but right now what we're looking at is the charge.
Things have changed for Roberts' attorneys in the past 24 hours, as a criminal complaint was filed on October 1st against Roberts, claiming he was an illegal alien with possession of firearms.
When immigration and federal law meet, it is doubly complex.
Lead attorney Alfredo Parrish says he can't guarantee whether or not Roberts will be deported at this time.
I have an appointment with him at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Will I be able to get in? I walk in and he's gone. There is no guarantee. I will tell you that we are speaking with all of the key people who are involved in that decision-making process.
State Representative Rob Johnson was also at the event and was one of the organizers. He says this new information hasn't changed the way he thinks about Roberts.
For me, it's about the work. It's about the impact, raising scores. Dropout rate is down. And so, no, the numbers on the dropout rate didn't change when this happened. The numbers on him raising scores didn't change when this happened.
According to the Polk County Sheriff's Office, Roberts is currently being held in the Polk County Jail. In Des Moines, Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.
We begin this midday with breaking news and a major development in the ongoing scandal of former DMPS Superintendent Dr. Ian Roberts. The Des Moines School Board is now pursuing legal action against the search firm that hired Roberts. Texas-based JG Consulting was brought on by the district to handle the superintendent search for the 2022-2023 school year. We want to go right out to Local 5's Alex Fulton, who is live from where this special board session just ended. Alex, what was the response from school officials today?
Well, Dana, Des Moines Public School Board Chair Jackie Norris was very clear with her messaging today. If the board knew then what they knew now about Dr. Ian Roberts, they would have never hired him. We expected the board to announce legal action against Roberts today, but that did not happen. Instead, the lawsuit against JG Consulting is claiming breach of contract and negligence. The district says the firm breached its contract because it failed to properly vet Roberts and referred Roberts for the position. As far as negligence, the district says JG Consulting represented Roberts as a suitable candidate when he was not. For that claim, the district adds that the firm failed to exercise reasonable care in gathering, verifying, and supplying information on Roberts. DMPS is requesting a jury trial and seeking damages in an amount to be determined at trial.
The contract required JG Consulting to bring all known information of a positive or negative nature to the board. Because that did not occur, we are pursuing legal action as allowed by law. This is about accountability. Taxpayer dollars were used, and we are seeking accountability.
Earlier this week, the district said JG Consulting had received a resume from Roberts that showed he had a doctorate from Morgan State University. During the background check, the error was flagged and was revised to say all but dissertation. That revised resume is what the board received at the time. We have reached out to JG Consulting for comment and haven't heard back yet at this time.